Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. Super excited to be back with you today to help another real member of the Flipped Lifestyle community take their online dream to the next level, take those next steps that are going to get them closer to a better future for their family. My guest today is Julie Patterson, and she is a doctor of pharmacy and has a PhD in pharmacoeconomics. I mean, Julie has put some schooling in, y'all. She's been to college again. She just kept going. And she told me at the beginning of this show, she said, man, I was on the 12-year plan. I told her, I was on the 5-year plan, but I think you chose your path and I didn't choose mine. I'll let y'all figure that out on the backside. But we're going to have a great talk today about how Julie has found herself in actually her dream job. She really loves her 9-to-5, but it's extremely demanding. And how the pandemic has showed her from remote work, from being at home. Her husband is a lawyer. He's also at home doing a lot of remote work. And they've really realized the power of online business to give them that time freedom, to give them those choices in their life. And she wants more of that. She wants to create more of that. Even though she wants to stay in her position, she wants to have the option to do both. And she has a really unique skill set. Her wisdom and her experience has built up a talent for scientific writing. That's like editing and writing for periodic journals, like for academia, these research institutions. And a lot of you right now are probably thinking in your car, oh gosh, this is highbrow stuff, man. We got some intellectuals going on here, man. We got a lot of people out there, doing, they're like, oh my gosh, how does this have anything to do with me trying to teach people how to play guitar? How does this have anything to do with me trying to help people raise goats in their backyard? How does this have anything to do with me, Shane? It has a lot to do with you because Julie has the same fears that we all do when we start our online business. We know what we want to do for a product. Maybe we have a good idea, but how do we build an audience? How do we build an email list? How do we do a webinar? How do we write an auto? How do we do all these things? How do I become a marketer? Well, I'm here to tell you today, you don't have to become anything but you. You just have to be you. And that's what I told Julie. She just has to lean into her unfair advantages, lean into her God-given talents, lean into her wisdom and experiences. And then I help her build an audience. I help her grow a list. I help her set up her first webinar. I even help her price her membership. So there's a ton of value packed into this episode. And I know it's going to help you with your online dream as well. And I want to tell you a little story before we hit the music here and get into Julie's a one-on-one coaching session with me. I was just on a call about 2 weeks ago with a couple guys that I have amazing respect for. I would even call them mentors from afar. Guys who have made tons of money on the internet, guys who are into online business, guys who have really made an impact in the world. And we were talking and masterminding together and just having a great conversation. And what I realized was no matter what niche we're in, no matter how long we're in the game, it's these same fears, these same mindset issues, these same things that hold us all back. And I was able to provide some value for them. Hey, guys, you're only emailing your list once a week. Now, you've been in the game for 10 years, but what if you emailed them twice? Oh, I don't know, man. That's 2 times? That might be hard. What if people quit? What if that's all the same fears? The first email you send when you got no people on your email list or 10 people on your email list, these guys were still having it. And I still have those fears, and Julie still has those fears, and you still have those fears. So we can all learn from each other. We can all get nuggets of information, get inspiration and motivation from every conversation that we have about trying to build a better future for our family. So I want you to sit back. This is a good podcast, guys. This one's deep. This one could almost be a course, and it might make its way into the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint someday, because we cover a whole lot of ground. I'm super excited to share my interview with Flip Lifestyle community member Julie Patterson with you today. So I'm going to shut up and we're going to get started. Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today, and I am super excited, as I am always excited, to help another member of the Flipped Lifestyle community take their online business to the next level, find and use their God-given talents and experiences to change their family's future. And I am really pumped today to talk to my guest, Julie Patterson. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Shane. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, I'm stuck in my house during an icy snowstorm, and I would rather be nowhere than talking to you today about online business. As long as a tree doesn't fall on the wires outside and take my internet out, this is going to be awesome. Okay. All right. So real quick, tell everybody who's listening to the podcast today a little bit about you, a little bit about your background, a little bit about what you're trying to do in your online business, so they've got some context for what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me. I've been a long time listener, so I'm so excited to be here. A little bit of background on myself. I'm a wife. I have a mother to a young toddler, and I'm one of those people who went to school for a really long time. So my goal was.
I did too, but it wasn't. It was by accident because I was failing a class or two. So I didn't choose to do it. Right. I was on the 5-year plan. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was on like the 16-year plan or something like that. You win. I think it's only 12 maybe when you add it all up. But yeah, I did college, and then I got 2 fancy doctorates, so which is not something I usually lead with, and most people in my personal life don't know that. But it's relevant for the purposes of this call. So I have a doctor of pharmacy degree. So that's the degree that qualifies you to practice as a pharmacist. And then I have a PhD in super jargony pharmacoeconomics and outcomes research. It's a research degree for pharmacy-related research. And so when I was in graduate school, I met absolutely the coolest people. It was a very international department. I had friends from Kuwait and India and Saudi Arabia and China, and just absolutely loved it. And one of the things that those students kept telling me was, you're such a good writer, and can you help me with my writing, and can you help edit my papers? And so one time I said, you know what, everybody's saying the same thing, that you'd like more kind of feedback on your writing. What if I do a seminar for you? And so I put together a seminar with some commonly missed grammar things, because these students, I mean, they're so smart. They're very high achieving. They are very good English speakers, but sometimes the English writing is a little bit more challenging. And so these are some grammar issues that are really more challenging for those non-native English speakers. And then I used a lot of examples. Like we went through and live edited a paragraph, and I showed them how I would approach it, and they loved it. I got such great feedback, and then kind of forgot about that and moved on and went and worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and went and worked, then kind of felt the tug back into academia and decided to come back. And now I'm actually on faculty at the same school that I went to for all those years.
That's awesome. Good.
Yeah, that's my day job. It's honestly like, it is in terms of 9 to 5, although academia is a little bit more than that, but in terms of 8 to 6, 8 to
Dust
8
till
jobs.
dawn, dust to dawn jobs. It goes pretty well.
Yeah.
Job, you know?
Exactly. It really is. I get to work with pharmacy students, graduate students. I teach, I do research, and it's amazing. But as I'm sure we'll get into, the pull of online business is even more amazing.
It really is. Listen, it's such a weird thing. You know, when I got out of college, I went into the family business, right? And and I'd always thought that would be a cool thing to do. I mean, I'd get to work with my dad and my brother, and you'd have a good life, you'd make a good income maybe, and you'd have your family, and you'd be close to home and all those good things. And I really felt that pull when I got out of college and started working. And I was like, man, I don't tell this story a lot on air, but when I was in high school, I was a really good football player, and I got hurt. I mean, I shattered my knee. I tore all 4 ligaments in my right knee at the same time: the ACL, the MCL, the LCL, and the PCL all at once. I mean, my knee was severed on the football field, basically. And it ended my football career, right? So, and I always kind of when you're a kid like that, and you've had so little life experience, your identity becomes wrapped up in your sport or your peer group, and I really did lose my identity on the field that night, right? And I ended up hanging out with a new group of friends, but I wouldn't change my life for the world, because all those things lead to where you are now, But I went and I felt that tug back to football. I thought that football became my dream job, and somehow I ended up on a college football staff 2 years after trying to coach football. I ended up being a head coach and a defensive coordinator. I was coaching in high school, and I really did think about man, this is kind of a dream job. I mean, you get to call plays on Friday night, you win or lose every week, and you just have a blast. You're getting kids better and helping people. And But then that tug, then things happen in our life. They draw us in a different direction. And when you discover, wait a minute, I can control every minute of my day and every walks into my bank account. This sounds cool. Let's go down this rabbit hole. Right? All right. So tell me about what you're trying to do online then. Like online business is a big category. Like what specifically is pulling you into the online business space?
Yeah, so I have developed the Scientific Writing Academy. And so my thought was I'd like to niche specifically to those non-native English speaking scientific researchers. Right now, my idea of the niche includes both students and post-students, like active researchers, which may be something that we'll go into. But I basically had this idea for creating a course that would walk through kind of two sections, a core grammar training in terms of, and not just like abstract grammar, because you can find that and you can go through these courses. I'm talking like this is applied. Like if you need like the 10 like biggest things you can do right now that will immediately improve your grammar, you know, like this is no nonsense. Like you don't need to know what the difference between like gerund and a participle is. Like you need to know what can I do right now to improve my writing. And so I actually took a week off of work. So I haven't taken a week of vacation the entire time I've had my job. I did have a maternity leave, but and I haven't taken vacation because I don't get paid maternity leave. So I have to bank up my vacation to pay to take time off. And so like there's a very real financial cost for me to take a week of vacation. But I took a week of vacation late last summer, or I guess early fall, and I designed this whole course and I filmed all these modules. So I actually have like all my content ready to go.
Nice. And for the cause, man. Hey, listen, I know all about that. We sold our house. We sold everything we owned. Everybody thought we were crazy, man. But I love hearing stories like that. There's somebody that wants it right there. So good on you for making that sacrifice.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just timing out like how much time I have available in a week. And I was like, I just need to do something to get more time. And that was the way that I could find it. And the other thing then that I did was my husband bought me like a long weekend at a resort, like an hour away. And this was during COVID, so it was like really cheap. But he
silver linings everywhere. Basically.
Yeah. But he watched our daughter for a long weekend, and I just went and holed up at this hotel and just cranked out the website and learned Kajabi and got the courses set up.
And go, man, that's a good husband right there. And you're a hard worker. I mean, this is an amazing story already. We haven't even talked about anything yet. I love this, man. So many people won't do that. And like, you know, it's like, just look in your mirror when you get off this call today and go, good job. You've made it here. Because man, I just hope everybody listening that knows that like, doesn't matter how long you've been listening to the podcast, doesn't matter how long you've been having the stream, like eventually there is a moment like that where you've got to say, I'm staying up all night. I'm putting on the coffee. I'm going away this weekend. I'm giving up something to get a chance at something better. And that's inspiring. That is super inspiring, Julie, that you all put all this work in together. And I love that. I love your husband. We hear so many, what do you call it? We hear so many people have doubting Thomases as husbands. And it's awesome that he was like, all right, I may not know what you're doing, but I'm going to jump in with you and we're going to figure this out. So kudos to you, man.
Well, thanks. Yeah, he's incredible. And actually I had talked about this. I mean, I've been listening to the podcast for years and years and years. And I've done free trials at points and then maybe stayed for a month and been like, I'm not making this happen. And when COVID hit, so my daughter went back to daycare, or she went to daycare for the first time, like about a year ago. So she went to daycare in like January of 2020. And he's on the partner track at a major law firm. So he works insane hours. And I'm on the tenure track at a major research institution. Like they're high pressure jobs, like long hour jobs. And we were making it work, but it's a hustle. Like it's a real hustle. And the daycare drop-offs and getting the bottles packed. And then when COVID hit, we both came home and we're working remote, and my daughter was out of daycare for a bit, and I was working like 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then he was working, and it was again a hustle, but we were so much happier and so much happier without that commute, with being able to say, hey, you know, I've got a meeting, can you watch the baby? And just passing her off and having her at home. And that's the moment that he just went all in with me too, in terms of the support. Once he saw like, this is what time freedom can do to our life, like our quality of life. And we were both still working full time, but just that little glimpse of having that flexibility, having that time freedom. And he said, like, what can I do to help you make this happen?
That's awesome. I mean, I should probably write a post about this. So the Flipped Lifestyle logo itself and like the concept of flipped lifestyle. There's a lot of reasons why we call this brand that, but the main reason is we want to flip the way the world works upside down. And the biggest part of that are choices, the choices that we make on a daily basis. That's what the arrow in the Flipped Lifestyle logo actually means. There's one going up, one going down. And it represents every time I see that arrow, it represents to me choices. Every day we have choices. And the most important choice that we can all make is how we use our time. But you can't choose how you use your time unless you take control of your time. And unfortunately, or fortunately, thank goodness, the way you do that in our society is you make enough money to have the choice. And when you create your own income, and when you have, even if it's just partial income, if a third of your income comes from your online business and a third comes from the husband and a third comes from the wife, I've still got majority choice. If one of those other two whack out, if one of the bosses starts acting up over here in our 9-to-5s, well, but 66%'s over here with us, Joker, right? So that is what it's all about. It's like, and we don't realize it until something like this pandemic happens. And I've been telling all y'all for 5 years, I told you that your job ain't safe and your time ain't safe. And the world is not in your control if you just rely on other people. But now everybody's kind of getting a feel of it. Like, wait a minute, you mean I can get up at 8 o'clock instead of 6 if I don't do that hour commute? Wait a minute. You mean I can make coffee instead of buying $8 coffee at Starbucks if I just stay home? Yes, that's what online business really provides you, is choices. Every day. I don't care what my schedule looks like. That's what I tell my team. Guys, I will work for this community and I will work for you 80 hours a week. I will do it, right? I just want to be the one who chooses what those 80 hours are for. And that's our philosophy, man. Is just give you choices, give us choices, give as many people choices as we can through online business. So let me circle back around to Scientific Writing Academy. This is a crazy cool business because it's highly specialized. Like, these are people who have to do a certain kind of writing. There's a differentiator here, is that you're really, really good at this. And I would guess that this is also a huge need for these people, either to graduate and get to the point where they want to be, or when they become a person at a research institution, or they got to get published. I mean, they have to do that. So they need this to work. They've got to get the grammar right. Their career is at stake, not just necessarily the next staff meeting where they might get in trouble. Correct?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is an intense type of writing service, and you have created, so you've got all your content done, but do you have it in Kajabi? Is it launched? Yeah. Where are we at when it comes to the launch process?
So all the content is in Kajabi. I've got 2 different lead magnets I've been working through. Probably my favorite course in Flip Lifestyle so far has been the autoresponder sequence. That was like really, really helpful.
I just basically write it for you. That was my goal with that course. Like, hey, watch this, do this, and oh yeah, by the way, here's some templates. Just go, just have fun, just start and see what happens. We'll change it later, right?
It was just perfect because that, and we'll probably get into this with the mindset, is what I'm having trouble with. Like, I have no problem getting the content and doing what I think is a good job with the content. I have had trouble thinking of myself as a marketer and taking that step mentally. And so when that autoresponder, those templates come through, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, this is really doable. And that got me over like my first big kind of marketing mental hurdle. So I have all that programmed into Kajabi. I don't have an email list. So it's all there. I think that my husband was just demoing the website over the past week and, found a few fixes, but I think it's really ready to go. And the back end is all worked out in Kajabi. I just now need to find people.
I would say something interesting that I heard you say there. I'm having trouble viewing myself as a marketer, right? Now, I think that part of this is, we all get wrapped up in the identity the world creates for us, or that we create for ourselves. I mean, you're an accomplished woman, Julie. I mean, you have PhDs and you are at a research institution and you're doing all of these amazing things, like you can't really get mad at yourself for identifying that way. I mean, that's your identity, right? So to put on the cape of the marketer is a huge, huge shift. So I would rather you not look at it more as the identity of a marketer, as more looking like marketing is something you kind of have to do, right? Your identity, really, the easier shift would just become a leader in the Scientific Writing Academy, because you are a leader in this space. I mean, these people were drawn to you when you were in school to help them write and edit. You were a leader. You showed leadership in that area. You have helped these people. You have done this. You have created the content. Like, the leadership in this space is oozing out of you. That's going to be a much easier shift. It's like when you want to, like, say you want to skydive or do something scary, right? Like, you know, the scariest part is probably putting on the parachute, because you're like, does this thing work? Is this going to happen? Is this going to do this? Is this going to do that? Like, whatever. But really, when you think about it, the parachute is just the tool. That's not where the courage comes from. The courage comes from, I'm going to do this no matter what happens. Like, I'm going to step out of the airplane, right? So the marketing is the same thing. It's just the parachute. It's just the tool you're going to pick up, and you're going to learn how to use that tactically and mechanically. But you're not going to, it's not like you're a marketer. You have to become, you know, Russell Brunson or something, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you have to do. You just have to lead. You just have to lead your people really well, right? So now we shift the focus to a different tool. One thing you're really good at is creating content, right? Audiences and lists are built with content. They are not necessarily built with marketing. We can blog, we can podcast, we can do YouTube videos. We can lean into the things you already know how to do. Lead and talk about scientific writing and let the audience come to that. Now, do we have to wield the tool of, oh, I might need to go on a guest appearance on a podcast? Do we have to lean into the tool of, you know, I may have to buy some ads, right? You all probably have some resources to maybe buy some ads, right? So like that, those are tools that we can just pick up and learn how to use, like not as, or maybe even hire out. Maybe there's an outsourcing thing here. The scientific writing could even be, maybe you find a grad student or somebody who could come in for an internship and help you, who's really, hey, listen, you were great at it when you were in the thick of things. Maybe there's someone else that can come in and help you with some of that content creation. And now you're just leading, you're just helping, you're just serving. Goodbye, mindset issue. I'm not a marketer. I'm a leader. I'm a leader in the scientific writing space, and I'm going to lead like crazy. And then when I need a marketing tool, I'll pick it up, swing the hammer for a minute, put it back down. How does that make you feel?
Oh my gosh, I love that. I mean, that's perfect. I was just getting so wrapped up, I think, in that term marketing and thinking, oh, I'm not like creative enough to be a marketer. But everything that you've said is exactly right. I can make the content. I can do blogs. I'm not afraid of going on a podcast. I'm fortunate to have the resources for the ads. I mean, everything that you said, I just feel like it's so doable and mentally so doable, you know.
Becoming another entity is not doable.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I'm going to become a marketer. No, you're not. No, you're not. You already are an entrepreneur. I mean, you're hustling, you're doing it. You want this. You already are a scientific writer. Why would you change? You know what I'm saying? This is why we teach. Lean into what, you know, at the core of the membership model and the core of what we teach at Flip Lifestyle is monetize your wisdom and experience. That's it. Don't try to become somebody else. Be authentic and monetize your wisdom and experience. I monetized football coaching when I first started out. That's what I knew. Jocelyn monetized being an elementary librarian. Now, after 5 years and serving hundreds of other people, we started monetizing this wisdom that we had accumulated, helping other people start membership sites. But you just need to monetize scientific writing. You need to monetize your leadership skills, and that's where we're gonna go next. Okay, so I would assume, and I might be wrong, that the next question would be then, how do we grow an audience? What does that look like? And tell me what your ideas are around that. I always like to know what people are planning or if they think, because you're closer to it than I am. What are you planning to do to grow an audience and a list and all those things?
So I was thinking probably LinkedIn and maybe trying to get some LinkedIn webinars going. So that was something that I'd kind of put on my list of questions in terms of what would a webinar look like, and such that it doesn't provide too much of my content that's paid content. And then I was thinking about doing some of that. You guys talk about kind of guerrilla marketing. People do get into message boards, like graduate student message boards, looking for resources. Like it's a commonly asked question on these message boards: how do I improve my scientific writing? And doing a component of that to try to get just a couple of beta members, people who are already out there actively looking. And that's about as far as I've gotten.
That's pretty far. There was a lot to unpack there. So one thing I heard, let me address a fear real quick. I just heard slip out of you, is knowing what to give and what not to give. Okay. So the content fear that I hear is what I work from the assumption that all content's free somewhere on the internet. And that allows me to, I don't care. I don't ever have to make the decision what to talk about on this podcast. I don't ever have to make a decision on what to put in a course. I don't ever have to make a decision on what I'm doing in a webinar, because all content's free somewhere. So whatever, I don't care what ends in. I just want to say what I want to say. Now, curation is not free. You know, you can't just walk into a museum when they've been flying mummies in from Egypt and bricks from the Great Wall of China in from China, and and they've got ice cores from Antarctica. They're not going to just let you in for free. You got to pay to get in for curation, right? Well, that's really what a membership is. It's a curated path that's going to get you somewhere faster, simpler, and easier. All right. And that's what the Flipped Lifestyle Blueprint is. Like, you can figure it out on your own. Fine. Go ahead. I'll see you in 4 years. And you can do it. Or you can just watch these courses and you can write your autoresponder in a weekend like you did.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what so don't worry necessarily about that. Don't let that hold you back. Now, in general, what a webinar does is it teaches people what to want. You're not teaching people what to do. So the concept of that hour you spend with your audience in a webinar is, look, I'm going to teach you to want to be a better scientific writer. I'm going to teach you to want to have better grammar, because it will get you a better job, because it will get you purpose. I'm going to make you want that. And then I'm going to teach you want mentorship, you want coaching, you want the faster path, which I just happen to offer right over here in this amazing membership. So when you're approaching content, don't worry if good things slip in that might be paid for, whatever. Everybody thinks they're so smart with their content they write. Well, guess what, people? The internet is enormous. And you're not the first person to ever talk about what you're talking about, right? But basically, the webinar is to teach them that they want your membership, okay? And you can show them that with results. You can show them that with testimonials. You can reach out to people, case studies who you've helped, like so-and-so from Kuwait graduated because I helped them edit their paper, right? Like, that's all proof of concept. So let's do that. Now, let's talk about the path to audience. This is a really important topic. It's how to grow an audience. You can't win without an audience on the internet. You don't need a big audience. You only need 100 people, $50 a month, 60 grand a year, 200 grand a year, whatever it is. This one, actually, I think your membership, I'd like to talk to you about pricing at the end. Don't let me forget that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, I want to know I'm going to write that down just so I don't forget. Okay. All right. But we need to talk about building an audience. So I'm actually going to step one step back from the LinkedIn thing. I think before your content strategy is going to be important before you do the guerrilla marketing or LinkedIn. I would guess that a blog is where you're going to settle in at, because this is a huge, you just sound like you sound like a prolific writer, that you could just dominate blogging. Even if you had someone like, okay, we're going to talk like those 10 things you talked about, like those 10 things you got to do. I would say each one of those could be some kind of blog post. Right. All right. So, but you could probably, again, outsource the initial creation of that blog post, and then you go back and edit it to save you tons of time. So I think there is going to be some component here of hiring a scientific writer or I'm sure you have access to interns and things like that you could somehow get. Like, this would be an amazing thing that you could do for somebody else to give them that experience. And it would give you like, okay, they're going to suck, but I'm going to write it. It's going to be pretty good. And it's going to be a C+ paper. I'm going to turn into an A+ thing.
Right.
Okay. So I would really get your content strategy down of what are people searching for? What are people drawing in? We need to bulk that up a little bit and have that ready, because when people find you, they're going to research you. Right. And they're going to want to know you're talking about this. Does blogging sound like where you want to be, or were you thinking about podcasting or YouTubing? Or I would think people would be searching Google for this information.
I agree. Yeah. And one thing that I did not share was that I used to be, while I was a grad student, I was a professional triathlete and I had sponsors, and I'm used to the whole blog post scene anyways, like writing that kind of content.
Yes.
So this is, and I agree. I think they're looking for, and it's a very visual type thing in terms of, I want to see how I have to use articles. That's a huge stumbling block.
Yes.
And so I think blog posts would be great.
Like this instead of this, and it's literally words,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I think with your all's lifestyle too, because you guys, and also it's okay to pursue the same paths you're on that were dream jobs and do this at the same time to give you that, get out of here money, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't have to worry about it now. I can do both. Okay.
Yeah.
So blogging's good. It can work in your schedule. You can write half a blog post in the morning, half of it at night. You're done, whatever, or get someone to outsource it and edit it. Now let's go next to the guerrilla marketing. So audience building always involves content creation, organic growth, paid growth. Those are the only three ways to generate traffic, really, right? Your organic growth, there's some things you can get into there with partnerships and guest appearances and whatever, but it's all organic growth. All right. So we've got content out of the way. We're going to blog. We're going to make this happen. We got to get us out there consistently, as consistent as possible. The organic growth, I love that. If you've got these people hanging out in forums and things like that, that also is outsourceable with a good VA. If you've got resources like that, I mean, you can get somebody, it's shocking how well trained some people overseas are, and just the way the world is different. Like, there will be pharmacists in other countries that have decided to go online and be a VA. There will be these people like on Upwork and in these other places, and you're just like, they get this. Like, I knew this guy named Jeff Twitty. He came into the community with nothing, grew his membership to 3,000 members, and he just sold it for multiple 7 figures, right? So it's just an amazing story. He hired math people overseas to write all of his math lesson plans in his library. And he's like, dude, they're smarter. He's like, they're smarter than me. They know more about it than me. Right. And it's just because the way that people, like, our biases and economies and things like that, we don't think that, but there's probably somebody out there that can help you with that. Like, go in and at least snipe where these people are. Like, you could type up when you see this, post this paragraph, and they can just sit and while you're asleep hunting these places down, guerrilla warfare. Right. So that would be like an organic strategy where you can get people into your membership. That's exactly how Jocelyn grew Elementary Librarian into the market share leader in the country for elementary school librarian lesson plans. Right. She just stayed in forums. Where are the librarians? Let's find them. But again, you don't have to do this. If you have any kind of resources, you can probably get a VA to do that. So that would be your organic strategy. So now we've got your content creation, your organic strategy, which your guerrilla warfare in the forums. Then you got your paid strategy. If you think LinkedIn is where you should start, you should. There's no best platform. I would guess in academia and the professional world, LinkedIn is usually a better place to start, right? And then if you're just going to drive ads to your webinar, that's cool. I would recommend you do it live for the first year, like every week for a year. You find a time, you're going to drive traffic, you put it in the schedule, and you all work around that like it's the sun and everything else is the moon and stars going around it, or the moon and planets going around it, right? And I have a webinar training. You like the autoresponder training. Wait till you see the webinar training, because you can download the slide deck, and I have a paragraph tells you what the slide's for. Not the webinar, the slides. Like, it literally says, like, slide 1, you're introducing yourself because half these people have no idea who you are. Slide 2, you're going to tell them you're going to handle objections to you. Like I always say at the beginning of mine, like, I have a slide that comes up that says, hey, y'all, right? And it says, listen, now you're going to notice real quick that I talk funny and I say a lot of crazy things. You're probably going to get a lot of y'alls and yeehaws when you listen to this webinar. However, if you confuse my intellect for my dialect, you're going to miss something real important in the next 45 minutes. So I know people are going to judge me. I know it. I accept it. I'm okay with it because I don't care. But I do need to address it. Those are called permissions. So like each slide will tell you, like, what's your permission? Like what do you need to get rid of that people are going to judge you for, or whatever, like every slide in that slide deck tells you exactly what the slide itself is for. Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. So the webinar training, and at that point, it's just spending money to get people to the webinar. Right. So this is a big undertaking. It's really easy for me to say, hey, create content, guerrilla marketing, webinars. There's a lot of moving parts. To get all that done. So I would definitely recommend taking like the next few weeks to get the content strategy bulked up, the few weeks after that to probably prepare your webinars. I think you guys should probably go that route first,
Okay.
And then once you do a webinar, once you've got a good comedy routine, you just take that routine on the road. You just show it to new people. So get that done first, then it's over with. Now it's just experiment with ads to it. And after that, it's just finding more people that want your service. Have you ever thought about offering this as a service, like training people where you could be like, hey, this is going to be really cool. I could have people that are really good at this, that maybe they can't cut it in academia, but they were really good at scientific writing and editing. Right. Like you could offer this as a service almost for probably a pretty good price.
Right. Yeah, and that is something that I've kind of thought about in terms of next step too, and thought about also, personally, I don't want to be in a position where I'm like the one like editing papers long term. Like I definitely want to do some of that up front to be able to have the content, like here's how I fixed people's stuff. But I think there's a huge appetite for people who right now they're paying for editing services. And could I be somebody who has those writers to provide editing services? That's a possibility. But they generally want to improve themselves and not just pay an editor. But could I train people to be able to do like 1 hour long, hey, I'm going to look at your writing, I'm going to edit it, but then I'm also going to walk through it with you and how you can improve for next time. I think and even the editing service would definitely be.
I think you're right. I think if there's already editing in the market, probably where you need to slide in there is, hey, wait a minute. These people want to get better because they're not going to improve their career just from always having an editor.
Right.
And most people won't do that. Right.
Right.
So you're probably going to do that. Now, let me ask you about pricing.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about this? What does it cost? What does it cost to get editing? Like if I was going to edit my paper, or if I was going to spend a month of my income, if I was going to spend income each month on getting all the things I need to get edited, what would that cost me as one of these people who are going through these programs or researching stuff for their job, basically?
That is a good question, because when in my pricing research, I had approached it from a different angle, but this is a better question, I think. When I go on like Upwork, I see a lot of people offering editing services for as low as like a bachelor's person, like $25 an hour, and upwards of like, if I were to offer my services, upwards of like $200 an hour for like a PhD trained person. But I'm honestly not sure how long it takes the average like editor to go through your paper.
And I'm going to have to do this multiple times a year, right? Maybe even monthly if I'm going to be a true person who's doing this. So you're talking, would I need like one thing researched a month or two things researched a month? Like, is it how much would I need this? Like, how much would I need a PhD level editor if I'm in academia and I need this service, or I'm in my program?
Yeah. I mean, you're publishing probably at least like 4 to 6 manuscripts a year. And so every other month. And I mean, a PhD level person, it's got to be at least like 3 to 5 hours.
Just to edit one thing.
Just to edit one of those. Yeah.
So let's just say we got 6. Let's say the truth lies somewhere in the middle, which is always true in life, people. It's 20. It ain't 25 and it ain't 200, no matter how much you want it to be, right? So it's like probably somewhere about 125, something like that. So let's just say 100, because I hate math. All right, 100. You're talking an hour, 100 an hour times, let's say 4 hours, because you said 3 to 5. That's $400 times 6 a year. Holy cow. You know what I'm saying? That's 4 times 6. So you're talking $3,000, $2,500 to $3,000 a year in expenses just to hire this out. You know what I'm saying? And you're not improving, and your voice is being lost in some editing, and all of those things are happening. Right. And that's just to hire it out. So I think this is probably a little bit higher level thing. Like you could charge, at least $100 a month. Probably like, let's say $200 a month would still be cheaper than that, right? I don't think you come out of the gate like that.
Yeah.
I would think people who are investing in PhDs and these programs, like it's not going to be a big deal to find $200 a month, and I'm going to be in a year, I'm going to be a great writer.
Right.
That's your promise. Like you're gonna in a year of our membership, you're gonna be a great writer, and not only that, you're gonna have a better career because of it. Your whole life's gonna be better because you went through this program. You got built-in retention that way. So, I mean, this is definitely, I think people will respect the higher price. I know we have a couple people in the pharmacy type space, a little bit different world, but like, they easily charge $200 a month and have no problem with retention. So you're probably looking at something higher. There is a student element to this, though. There are students involved,
yeah.
But again, students have access to money. They have access to capital through loans. They have access to capital through parents. They have access to capital through support or institutions. So they have more access to money than we think, So I think you're probably looking at 100 to 150 out of when you open the doors a month. I would charge that at least. So now you go get 100 of those people. You got 10 grand a month, just like that, right? I'd say there's 100 of those people out there. Does this have to be locked into the pharmacy world, or is this all scientific writing that you can get into? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, all scientific writing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a big audience here. This is not just, be careful not to let all the pharmacy gobbledygook come in and where you've been.
Yeah. I've been trying to use like diverse examples, like as I go through the material, like some's a little bit more bench sciencey, some is like medical type and health services. So I've been trying to diversify like my examples and things.
That's a perfect way to do that. It'll just naturally I would go write down the top 10 categories of people that need this and never leave that block of people in your examples. And every blog post, like, okay, this is blog 1. Who's first on the list? We'll say the pharmacist person or whatever. That's what these are. These examples are going to be something that person would see. The next one, who's second on the list? Health services. This is the example they would see. And just get into a rhythm of every 10 weeks, every quarter, you're just rotating through a certain amount of those so that you start drawing in those people.
Right.
That's your content. That's your content strategy. Okay. So we're going down very far down the rabbit hole. But see, people, if you're listening, this is what happens when you do your product first. We don't have to worry about convincing you of your idea. We don't have to worry about making a product and all that boring stuff, right? That you find time for. We get to do the fun stuff, like let's launch the membership and make money, right? Okay. So I think I should probably lay it out for you here. Sometimes I ask people what they think they should do, but I'm just going to tell you because sometimes I do that. I definitely think you need to take time to batch content. I think just getting this piece out of your way, even if you just had a plan, would be so beneficial for the rest of this month, because then you know how it's going to get done, how often it's going to come out, when it's going to come out, when you need to stop and batch again, if you're going to get an intern to help you with it. Like you can sort those logistics out first. That would be A. Once A is under control, B is make your webinar. Just use the training. It'll be fine. Talk about it in the forums. You'll have it done pretty fast. And then after you get that done, it's probably ads. And I wouldn't even worry too much about all that guerrilla stuff right now because there's only 2 ways to grow your audience. You roll up your sleeves or you open your wallet. And you guys and what are your unfair advantages right now? The pandemic has you at home. And you guys do have good positions with some extra capital and some discretionary income. So use that. Just use that. Like figure that part out because that's your unfair advantage. Somebody else's unfair advantage is they have all the time in the world. So they should I had time. That's what I had in the beginning. So I went guerrilla marketing. Yeah. Let's see if we can get the ads to work. And then you won't even necessarily need that route. You'll just create another lead generation source. Okay.
Yeah.
That's your plan this year. That's it. Like that's 2021 is content strategy. Let's get people at these webinars. Let's sell this stupid thing and launch it. Let's go. You know your price. You can
Love it.
Now you can make your order form. It's just now we have to roll our sleeves back up and put in the work to get it right. Okay.
I'm so excited.
Clarity. Clarity and no fear. It's incredible. I'm just going to be the scientific writing person of the year. That's all I'm going to do.
Oh my gosh. I am just like so energized. Like this is it. I mean, this is how I felt initially when I was making that content because I like knew what those next steps were and I like knew I could make cool content. And now I feel like it's all there for me for the next steps.
I get so yelled at. People are always like, fine, you'll tell me my next steps. Why don't you just tell me what to do? I'm like, no, that is what you do. You go to the blueprint and you say, I did A, B, C. Oh, it's D. It's the next step. I'm done with all of this. Okay, I'm done with my product. What do I do? Let's see. Let's look in here. Oh, yeah, that's the next step. That's all we do in Flip Lifestyle, guys, is next steps. And you now have your next steps. You can go to Tim and you say, hey, I got the next steps. Let's get this ready. Let's get out the notebooks. Let's make a plan. You watch the baby here. I'll watch the baby there. We're making this happen. So awesome stuff. Well, listen, I just want to congratulate you and listen, tell you how proud we are of you that with everything going on and you guys do have demanding careers and you still found a way to do it. And you didn't make excuses. You just made a way. And that enough is 99% more than most people do. I'm calling y'all out there driving around in your cars, sitting at home in your pandemic pajamas. But you've done a lot already. And now you just have to do the work for the next step, and we see what happens again. Right. And if something goes good, it goes good. If it doesn't, we just do something else, and the beat goes on. So Julie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you for sharing everything. Thank you for being an awesome member of the Flip Lifestyle community. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to succeed. As soon as you do it, you're an overnight success. And I got a feeling that morning's coming for you really, really soon, Julie. So thank you so much for being here and being transparent and sharing with everybody on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much. It has been incredible, and I look forward to catching up with more people in the forums as I move forward.
All right, guys, that wraps up my interview with Flip Lifestyle community member Julie Patterson. What an amazing person, man. Just really hustling and getting it out there, not just because of all of her accomplishments. That's not what I'm saying. Listen, by any stretch of the imagination, the world would tell Julie and her husband, just keep going, stay on the railroad track. But she's chasing her dream, and they're making it happen. And they're making time. They're choosing to spend their time in a certain way because it's what they want, not what the world wants. And I want you to have what you want to. I want you to have your online business. I want you to lead your membership community. I want you to build the future that you want for your family. My dream, Julie's dream, and your dreams are different. But we have the tools through online business. We have the tools through the membership model to go out and build the dream that we want. It has never been more possible to do that than it is right now for anybody from any walk of life, whether you're a PhD of pharmacoeconomics or you're a couple school teachers from Southeast Kentucky, and everywhere in between, you can build the dream that you want for your family. We would love to help you do that inside the Flip Lifestyle community, just like we helped Julie. You know, we're real people. We suffer through the real thing. I'm recording this right now from my guest bedroom because I'm stuck at home in an ice storm. I got my kids here. We're doing virtual school. Heck, my dogs could bust in that door at any second and interrupt this recording of this podcast. And we have a community of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of real family-focused entrepreneurs from around the world to help you and to help them start, build, and grow an online business. We do that in the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint. We do that on member calls every single month, and we do that in the forums every single day. If you'd like to get access to the Flip Lifestyle community, to the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint, to our forums, if you want to hang out with me and Jocelyn and our entire community on one of our upcoming member Q&As, we would love to have you there. All you have to do is go to flippedlifestyle.com. That's FLIPPED. lifestyle.com, and you can see everything that we have to offer you beyond the podcast inside of the Flip Lifestyle community. It is the step-by-step blueprint that we used to quit our jobs, replace our income, and become full-time, location-independent online entrepreneurs. It is designed for real people with school-age kids who are struggling in the pandemic, who are struggling to sort out their time, people with 9-to-5s. Heck, we built our business when we had 9-to-5. This is the program that is built for you. We've seen it help so many people accomplish their online dream. We would love to help you. So go to fliplifestyle.com today, check out everything we have, and I hope to see you inside soon. All right, guys, before we wrap it up, I always like to share a Bible verse at the end of all of our podcasts. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the wisdom that is in the Word, in business and in life. You wouldn't think that a lot of that stuff was about business, guys, but God talks a lot about money. He talks a lot about business, and He talks a lot about investing in yourself and in your future. So I got a good one today. It's kind of related to the conversation that I just had with Julie. It's Bible verse today comes from Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 through 16. The Bible says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Now listen, this Bible verse came to my mind when I was talking to Julie, because Julie said, I feel like I got to become something else. I feel like I've got to become a marketer. I feel like I got to change my identity. And that's not what this wisdom says, this ancient wisdom that I just read. It says you are a light of the world. You are a city that can't be hidden. You are the lamp on the stand. You. Just let your light shine. If your light is raising backyard chickens, then you need to shine. If your light is teaching people about business and marketing, if your light is about pharmacoeconomics, if your light is about teaching people how to play piano, if your light is about helping people raise their goldfish, it doesn't matter what it is. Let your light shine. Your identity is the reason you are going to succeed. Your God-given talents, your God-given experiences, that wisdom and intelligence and knowledge that you have picked up along the way is the reason you will succeed. We will help you by giving you all the tools to get your light out into the world, put it up on a little bit higher hill, put it up on a little bit higher stand, but it's your light that's going to make you successful just the way you are right now, just with what you know right now. All you have to do is flip on the switch. All right, guys, that's all the time I have for this week. Until next time, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. If you love the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcast. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.